Hi there, guys. I'm going to go ahead and post a video, but I just wanted to say that, a friend of mine or a subscriber, his name is Philip. He's a truck driver, and he drove down to Texas to, you know, me check on his truck and then get loaded and go back home. Well, he was feeling a little down, and just found out that, he got he felt somewhat sick, so he went ahead and went to the hospital. I just want to wish and hope that he gets well soon. Um, I've texted with him a little bit, but uh, don't know exactly what's wrong with him yet. But he was feeling sick, and he is in the hospital. So I just want to say, get well soon, Philip. And our prayers are there for you. All right. Well, here's a video, guys. Well, guys, good afternoon. A couple of days ago, a subscriber, his name is Patrick, contacted me about a truck that he had that was blowing a whole bunch of smoke out the tailpipe and stuff like that. So he went ahead and drove it over, and we checked it out. And he's got bad compression on 2 cylinders. He's probably got a cracked ring. We'll find that out shortly when we tear this sucker apart. But went ahead and decided to go ahead and do an end frame on this one. It's a 1997, I believe, International 4300 box truck with a dt466. Well, let me show you guys what we got, and then we'll start tearing it apart. I disconnected the batteries. All the positives are disconnected, so basically this unit is completely dead. Batteries are not even wired, so make sure you disconnect either your ground or your positive wires before you start. Well, guys, what we got here is a international box truck, and it's got a dt466. As you can tell, basically haven't really done much to it. All I did was open the hood. We're going to go ahead and get started by yanking all those air filter, turbos, stuff like that. I want to get as close to the block as I can, because we got to yank that cylinder head off, send it in to get machined while we install those liners and stuff like that. So it's going to be basically just a dt466 end frame. Let me show the other side real quick. This here is the driver's side. As you can see, everything is still intact. We're going to go ahead and start by yanking everything apart and draining the water, all the fluids, coolant, oil, stuff like that. And I'm going to see how much of this I can actually tear down before today finishes, and then we'll just go ahead and start on it again tomorrow. Guys, most of the tear down is going to be done in time lapse. I'm just basically tearing stuff apart. I will slow it down and kind of tell you what I'm going to be doing, and then I'll just go ahead and time lapse it to get it done quicker. Guys, on this one, I already kind of know where all the bolts go, what sizes they are and all that stuff, so I just basically throw all my bolts in a bucket. But if you guys are going to try it, if you guys are not too familiar with these engines, it'd be nice if you could throw all those little bolts in Ziploc bags and label them, so that when it comes back to putting it together, you all don't get lost or mix match bolts. Let me go and continue with this one, guys. I'm going to remove alternator, that little intake tube to the turbo, this bracket here, and then I'll go ahead and point out a couple of more items. Well, somebody had done some repairs to that intake little bellow going from the filter to the turbo. It's broken, it's missing ports, so somebody decided to put tape on there. Where we're going to see if we can go ahead and hook this guy up and get him a new little bellow to replace that. That way, no tape required. So let me go ahead and continue, guys. Well, guys, on this one, just to point this out real quick, since this is not a bus and it is a box truck, we had to loosen this 11mm little bolt on this clamp for this turbo housing, and we had to turn the turbo housing inward to be able to pull that bracket out because of the heat shield. I really didn't do much. I just loosened it, turned it to be able to get that heat shield out. When we put it back on, once we get the shield on, we'll go ahead and align this little inlet or want it, and we'll just tighten it back up. So it's not a big issue. So let me go ahead and continue on this one, guys. Well guys, now that we got the alternator off, I'm going to go ahead and get that turbo off. And well, let me go ahead and get that turbo off real quick. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get video off of this because it's in a tight space. I got to get in there. But turbo is not that bad. Basically, you have 11 millimeter bracket in back. Sorry about it being so dark. And then you have 15 millimeter nuts, 2 here and 2 in the back. You got oil feed line, and then you have a drain pipe in back of the turbo, and that sucker comes right off. And of course, disconnect that VGT. It's a little wire connector that's right here on the block. Go ahead and disconnect that so that you don't mess up the wires. And there we go. VGT is completely off. 10 millimeter nut bolt right here. 15s, 10s, and 11 for the clamp. So let me go ahead and get that off. I'm not going to be able to get video off of that one, guys, but let me go ahead and get it off. Well, guys, turbo is out of the way. Sorry I couldn't get that on video. There's nobody here to help me with the camera, so. But the actual turbo is gone. Sorry about the glare. There's the hole where the drain goes. There's a little hole for the 10 millimeter bolt. Over here there are 15s, and on 2 in front of the turbo. This is the oil feed line, and that's where the clamp goes with the 11 millimeter. Now we're sorry about the glare, guys. We're gonna go ahead and remove that EGR cooler right there. 10 millimeters. There's a 15 right there holding that bracket, and then there's 2 little 8 millimeter bolts holding it down here. You have to use a 12-point wrench. These little bolts have little 12 points, so you can't use a 6-sided. You got to use a 12-sided wrench or socket. There's a hose right there, water hose, and there's one going towards the back. Sorry about the glare, guys. So let's go ahead and get the sucker off. Oh guys, I'm draining the water, the coolant, so I can go ahead and get that EGR cooler out of there. I already got the 2 little 8 millimeter bolts off. I got to get that 12. It's not 15, sorry, it's a 12. I got that 10. I got to get those 3 10s, that hose, and those 2 hoses, and that thing comes out. I just had to drain the water before I did that. So let me go ahead and get my tools ready and get that sucker off. Well guys, I got all the bolts off. Let me go ahead and wiggle this thing out. Well guys, EGR cooler's out. Let me get it out of the way, and I'll be right back with you guys. Well guys, the passenger side is looking bare and bare. So now I gotta get that compressor out of the way, that bracket, so I can go ahead and get that exhaust manifold off, and then we'll go ahead and continue with the driver's side. So let me go ahead and get that compressor out of the way. Well guys, I forgot to recover the Freon on this system, so I can go ahead and remove this compressor completely off so it's not in the way. So I'm not going to record that. I'm going to go ahead and get the machine in here, vacuum this out so I can go ahead and remove it, plug these 2 lines, cover, cap off the compressor, set it aside, and continue. So let me go ahead and get that done. I'm not going to be able to get it on tape, but you know what, I'm just going to recover real quick. Now that the lines are released and the AC compressor is gone, I can go ahead and worry about that bracket for the alternator, and then this little water inlet bracket here. Let me go ahead and it's got a couple of 10mm bolts holding some wire loops or the harness together, and over here it's got four 10mm bolts with 1/2-inch nuts on the back, so they're long bolts. So let me go ahead and get those off. I'm not going to be able to show you me removing it, but I'll show you the bolts and the nuts once I do get it off. It goes straight through the timing cover all the way to the back of the bracket. I'll show you in a bit. I'm going to remove that tensioner just to be able to get them off, and then I'll show you. Just bear with me, guys. Well, guys, the reason I was struggling with that one is because somebody had worked on this one before. Could have been water pump, could have been timing cover, but they put a whole bunch of silicone on there, and these bolts, well, it was kind of stuck in there because of the silicone. Clean these up. There's no silicone. You don't use silicone on these. So let me go ahead and show you the bracket. And like I was telling you, bracket goes like this in back of the timing cover. Bolt goes through the timing cover. Bear with me, guys, I just dropped the bolt. Bolts go through the timing cover, through this bracket, and then of course you got nuts in back of this. Let me show you. So these bolts not only hold up this bracket, but they also sandwich those timing covers together to keep them from leaking. So I couldn't get it on video because I had to really go in there and get these suckers loose, but this is how they work. Alright, let me go ahead and get that upper bracket off, and let's see what else we can do. Well, on this one, guys, first you got these two 10mm little bolts holding this bracket, holding up this little exhaust back pressure tube. Then you have 13mm bolt, another one back here, and then you have two on the top that you have to take off to be able to remove this bracket. This water hose comes off, and well, that's it. You should be able to pull this bracket out. So let me go ahead and get that one done. Let me see how much I can show you. If it doesn't come out too clear, guys, I do apologize, but it's kind of hard to record and work at the same time. So let me go ahead and get this one. Well, guys, as you guys can see, now we've exposed the exhaust manifold. It's got 15mm bolts. It's got, like, I believe it's 12, well, excluding that long one that was holding that EGR cooler. But let me go ahead and get those bolts off and get that exhaust manifold out. Alright, let me go ahead and get started, guys. Well, guys, this is going to take a little bit longer than what we thought. Reason being is the bolt right behind this turbo flange is completely rounded out. So I'm going to have to figure out a way of getting that bolt out without messing up that exhaust manifold, of course. So it's going to take us just a bit longer. Let me go ahead and study this one and try and figure out how I'm going to do it. I'll get back with you guys in a bit. Since we can't do much on that side till we remedy that bolt that's messed up, I'm going to go ahead and start tearing apart the driver's side, starting with that coolant reservoir. 2 hoses, 2 13 nuts, and 2 13 bolts, and this hose clamped down here, and that sucker's off. So let me do that in 2 times. It won't take me that long. With that coolant reservoir out of the way, let's go ahead and remove that intake hose, and then we'll continue. Those 2 clamps that I removed to get that hose off, you use an 11mm socket, wrench, whatever you got. I used a wrench, but you got that off, so let's go ahead and continue. On this one, guys, we're going to go ahead and get the thermostat housing off. Thermostat housing is this tube, goes all the way back, bolts down onto the head with 2 10mm bolts. It's got 2 13mm nuts holding it in place on the timing cover, and then it's got 1 right here in front holding it with this bracket, and of course the hose. Let me go ahead and get that done, and I'm going to get that on time lapse, guys. Well, guys, there goes the thermostat housing and the EGR cooler tube. Those are off. So now we got the rest. Well, guys, I guess we're going to go ahead and stop here. Well, guys, it got kind of dark on us. I could have kept working, but I decided to stop since we got that bolt that we're going to have to figure something out on that exhaust manifold. Got 1 bolt on there is holding it, and it's the head of the bolt is all messed up. So I'm going to go ahead and stop for now. We'll get back on this one tomorrow, and hopefully tomorrow we'll completely tear this sucker apart. So let me go ahead and close this video here, guys. Well, guys, hope you liked the video. Thanks for watching.